I'll do it.
All right, epic. Um, Not just yet. Let's give it a second. All righty, Miss Williams.
I'm ready when you are. Uh, Good evening. Welcome to the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept book club reading on the area of sex, the ninth area of people activity. Fasten your seatbelts and get your notepad because you're going to learn things about sex from the counter racism viewpoint that you have never learned before. I mute.
Excellent. Thank you, Miss Williams. Getting us started, I'm gonna watch this short clip from Neely Fuller. Maybe later we will watch this a clip from 1974's Klansman, which is really kind of gets into what white people say about non-white people when we don't have, but behind closed doors, because sex is a really, really powerful, motivating force, and racist men and racist women have used it like flawlessly in regards to continuing our confusion and our domination and whatnot. That is a hashtag. So, all right, so I'm gonna try to get the correct timestamp. All right, I found it. So I'm gonna get this started and share the screen. Okay. Share screen, share sound. Yeah. All right, give this a listen. Tragic arrangements. Deadly.
But I think some of the people in here do want to hear some of this because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to be dealing with people just like the lady back there. She is still a member, maybe not in good standing, of the greatest force on this planet in the form of people. Don't forget that. This lady said she was white. You might say that don't mean nothing to you. You know that you are not telling the truth when you say that. She's a member of an organized force, or she's at least associated with it, even though she's saying that she wants to get disassociated with it. But what did I say at the beginning of this talk? The white people who don't believe in racism are not among the smartest, which means that they won't know how to deal with it either. The lady has said, didn't you say that you came in here to try to learn something? I'm quite sure
Right.
You're here for a reason.
Right.
Is that the reason?
Yeah.
You didn't exactly say that, but I help you along.
Right.
I have to remember that.
Right.
Okay? But the best people to learn from are the people that you're running from, because that's where the work has to be done. See, you might can solve your individual problem, and at some point, one way that you may do it is hook up with somebody non-white in a sexual way.
I'd like that.
You like that? I thought you would.
I mean,
Now, according to the code, Okay, be quiet, everybody. Everybody be calm. According to counter-racist logic, if you, or if you have ever, or if you do, or if you're planning on it, having sexual intercourse or engaging in any kind of sexual play with a non-white person anywhere on this planet during the existence of white supremacy, you are not running away from what it is you say you're trying to get away from. You have wholesalely, in the worst way, taken a person who is already a victim and victimized that person to the nth degree. There is no act that you can commit that's worse than that. The black person would be better off if you put a gun to their head and killed them, because at least that would send a message to the rest of them to stay alert. If you do this sexual thing, it will put the rest of them to sleep, and they will go further into the confusion. And that has been proven over and over and over and over and over again. So I'm duty bound to tell you, hold it, this is science, I'm duty bound to tell you this because this is true. Now, you may emotionally have this inclination. You have to kill it.
Well, I'm married to a white man, but I'm just saying, I find black men very attractive too.
Yes, but I can understand that. This happens all down through history. White men have it more than you. Probably including the one that you have, if he ever went to Nam or someplace.
Yeah, he was.
He's got a long record. You say yes?
He was in Vietnam.
He was in Vietnam. Right. Oh, okay. Hoochie House. Okay, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. All right. But one thing that white men do everywhere they go is make sure that they run through the black females, and then after they finish with them, they dump them and turn them over to us. Okay?
But what can we do as white
What
people?
can you do? That's the question. Excellent question. Best question in the house. You can go among the white people and start taking those hits that you're going to get when you start talking the way that you talk and start saying you want them to settle this problem, because that's where it has to be settled. The reason we talk among ourselves is because how many white people like yourself are going to walk in here and fess up?
Well, I think
Alrighty, that's the clip. It's very, very interesting that she is she said she would like to sexually aggress on a black male, even though she's married. Very telling of racist suspects, I believe. But I really like that clip because it's very true. The tragic arrangement, more times than not, will confuse a victim further. And that's never a constructive thing, because this entire system is built on confusion and deceit. So if white people are doing things that are causing victims to be more confused, that is an act of racism, which is what we are trying to eliminate here. So I thought that would be something constructive to listen to as we get started. I think one of the important things to understand involving Area 8 sex is to don't expect much. Don't expect this fairy tale relationship. Don't expect this powerful relationship, because the system is scientifically designed to produce the 3 T's. I will say 4 T's: tragic, tacky, trashy, and terroristic. I really like this part from 275 because it's a reminder to keep your expectations very, very low, and and in regards to relationships, which I think it's much better to call them arrangements. It makes more sense because we have been long brain trash indoctrinated to believe that relationships are something we can actually maintain and manage, when it's actually racist men and racist women who dominate and have planned all of our arrangements, all of our relationships. So I like being introduced to the diction and calling these things arrangements because that's what they are. So the code says on 275, as long as long as the system of white supremacy, racism dominates all of the interactions between the white people and the non-white people of the known universe, it is correct for all people to expect interactions between white people and non-white people, and between non-white people and each other, to be no more than tacky, trashy, and or terroristic. It is correct to expect this in all places, at all times, in all areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. According to compensatory counter-racist logic, it is best and correct to keep in mind that all sexual interaction between people should be designed to and intended to promote thought, speech, and action that best helps to replace the system of white supremacy and racism with the system of justice, balance between people. Therefore, in all of their arrangements, it is important to think of the ultimate goal as to not only getting satisfaction from sexual sensations themselves, but to think of every interaction as part of a focused, constructive process of producing all of the qualifications and characteristics of the universal man and slash with for universal woman. So really important to me. If I had this information ages ago, I could have avoided a lot of headaches, a lot of stress, and incorrect behaviors if I had always kept my expectations very, very low, and understanding that this arrangement with this non-white female can only be so constructive. As yeah, because it just is what it is. It is what it is, and racist men and racist women have done a phenomenal job at producing so much hostility and animosity amongst us non-whites that it's funny. I didn't realize this stuff sooner, but that's how confusion works. I believe. Anyone have anything to share? Add?
Yeah, I do. So reading through sex, I thought a lot about my younger days, specifically around middle school and beyond, up until maybe college. And one thing that I've noticed is at a very young age, it seems that people around me, the kids, I'm sixth grade, 12 years old, everybody is majorly concerned with sex. It seems sex dominates most of our conversations for some reason. People were telling me that they were having sex and they're only like 11 years old, 11, 12 years old. Like what are you doing after school? I'm going home. I'm gonna go ride my bike outside or play some video games, you know. But apparently these people were getting in and having sexual, they were having sexual activities, sexual visitations, I guess. So, you know, being very dominated by sex at a very young age. As you get older, it doesn't, I think it gets worse. It seems like a lot of it is, you know, for so long, having sex was the goal. You know, having sex was the goal, was the prize. And I can see how that definitely causes a lot of confusion, how the white supremacist gets us as non-white people, because this was mostly non-white people, in my opinion, talking about this and being so preoccupied with sex. You know, so how the white supremacist gets us to focus on having sex, keeping us confused, preventing us from reaching the universal man, universal woman. And I said, where was I going with that? Yeah, so so as we're being dominated by these thoughts, we don't ever have time to really create these these quality relationships, or what Neely Fuller said, you know, a harmonious relationship that can never be achieved. Really, all the arrangements that we encounter or become a part of are really just tacky, trashy, and terroristic, because we don't know any other kind of relationship. We don't know anything better than a tacky, trashy, or terroristic relationship. I mean, think about how we're talking about the complementary sex at such a young age. You know, reducing them to body parts. You know, that's just common. That's exactly what we do to each other. On page, I like the very first thing he said. I'm sorry if you read this, Swa, on page 276, where he says, question, if a non-white lady desires to have sexual intercourse, with whom should she choose to do so? Answer, as long as white supremacy exists, a non-white female should choose only a non-white male who is currently doing all that he can to speak and or act to put an immediate end to the system of white supremacy and to replace it with justice. Justice, balance among people in all areas of activity. According to compensatory counter-racist logic, those non-white persons who are involved in counter-racist speech and or action are the males and females who are best qualified to think, speak, and act in support of sexual intercourse and or sexual play with each other. So, you know, reading that, I just thought, you know, counter-racist. Why should the non-white ladies of the universe desire to have sexual intercourse with those people who are focused on, you know, solving the problem? And I think it's because, you know, they are at least attempting to create the quality relationship, attempting to have a harmonious relationship. And I don't think you can do that unless you understand or try to understand racism, what it is and how it works. Because if you're not attempting to understand that, then every relationship that you're going to be in, every encounter or arrangement you're going to be in is going to be nothing but tacky, trashy, and terroristic. Because you're gonna, you know, you don't even know why it just cannot work out. Why this arrangement just isn't going as planned. It's not going the way it's supposed to go on the TV. You know, I'm gonna mute my mic for now. I'm talking a lot.
Really well said. Koiki, you said a lot of significant things. Yeah, it could be in just that was my reality as well. I had my first sexual experience in first grade, initiated by a non-white female, while I was just sitting down minding my own business. And then as I matured, in high school, everyone was trying to have sex with everybody, and I was never really interested in like, going out and having sex. Or I didn't really think about having sex. I didn't really wasn't in a rush to lose my so-called virginity or any of that stuff. But when it did happen, it was definitely the three T's: tacky, trashy, and or terroristic. And I definitely appreciate the logic that Neely Fuller introduces with non-white females choosing to have sex with only non-white males who are attempting to solve the problem. Because worst case, because what's happening now, 2021, is that we have a bunch of victims having sex with each other, producing offsprings that are not doing absolutely anything to solve the problem, and are just coming to the planet to be totally dominated, to be unaware slaves that they were born into a system by victims, and they will remain victims until they die unless we solve the problem. So when you play with sex is definitely not taken serious at all, and I think that was a really really orchestrated effort by a racist man and racist woman, because if you're just playing around with sex, you could like produce a bunch of offsprings who will not have the slightest clue on what's going on planet Earth. Therefore, the prisons will stay packed, the cemeteries will stay packed and keep floating. I mean, keep getting populated with unaware victims slain by the system of white supremacy. And yeah, it's just to go back to the video, being victims, we're already in like really really pitiful and powerless positions. I'm reminded of my this real tragic arrangement with me and a white woman when I was 18. We were in a tragic arrangement. I was very much confused, not aware of racism, white supremacy. But even in that arrangement, like I was very, very poor, living on sleeping on a floor in a relative's home. I was often going to bed hungry. So I saw the relationship as a place to go somewhere else to get some food, get some grub. And yeah, so I just saw the relationship as a place to get some comfort in my 18-year-old self. And that it was pretty a comfortable relationship, despite me not being that much attracted to the white woman. I just had to do what I had to do. But I'm reminded of many racist things that happened that I didn't even have the awareness to call racist. Because I remember the father, the white dad, racist suspect, maybe white supremacist because of what he said. But he would do this thing where he would he would feel like he was being mistreated by people, certain family members, and then he would say something like, "Yeah, you guys are going around treating me like I'm some nigger." And when he said it for the first time, I just started laughing because I thought it was just hilarious that this person actually said this. And then again, I was very brain trash. Everything's a joke, everything's funny to me at that point because I'm not a serious person. So I didn't even take it to offense. I was just like shocked, and I thought it was funny. And I remember hearing him say that on 2 different occasions. So I guess that was one of his go-tos for him to just say, "Oh yeah, you guys are treating me like I'm some nigger." And in hindsight, I wish I could have asked some questions but I was not able to. And totally incorrect arrangement because the white lady I was with, she didn't like say, hey, that's incorrect. The white wife didn't say, hey, that's incorrect. You know, this was something that was common in that household, from my understanding. One of the many reasons is incorrect for white people and non-white people, victims of racism, to be together. And just to add insult to injury, I'm poor, living on the floor, you know, going to bed hungry most nights. But this white family is also so-called poor. They live in a trailer park, but they have way more resources than I did, and their mobile home was quite comfy. So the whole like poor white myth, that it doesn't really matter as long as they're white, they're gonna feel more powerful. They're gonna feel better than non-white people. It's just something that has been embedded in their psyche so deeply, I suspect. Um, I really like this part from the code on 277 because it's a good when you when a person believes that they're something or someone that they're not, that can only produce confusion and disappointment. If I'm going around here thinking I'm a black man, a strong black man, able to defend my black family, I could be real disappointed when a racist suspect with a badge, when a race soldier comes, shoots me down, or puts me in handcuffs and hauls me away because I tried to be a strong black man. The same goes for the strong black woman who can do everything on her own, who can do it all by herself. It can be very disappointing when your kids get taken away by the system, or when a race soldier comes and shoots you down because you want to be a strong black woman, which does not exist. And the system of racism, white supremacy cannot exist under the system of racism, white supremacy. So the code says on 277, question, within the system of white supremacy racism, what are the 4 correct titles that should be used to describe a white female? Answer, 1, white female. 2, lady or white lady. 3, woman or white woman. 4, racist suspect female, but only if there's reason to believe that the white female is very likely functioning as a racist white supremacist. Explanation. Those white people of the known universe who practice white supremacy are the only people who have the power to decide which people are men and which people are women, rather than simply males or females. Within the system of white supremacy, it is the white supremacists who decide who is to be regarded and treated as a boy or a girl, regardless of their formal or informal titles. Mr., Miss, Lady, Gentleman, Judge, King, Queen, Father, Mother, etc. The white supremacists have decided that in order to maintain the system of white supremacy, only white females can be regarded as women within the system of white supremacy. All non-white females are regarded as non-women, girls, gals, etc., and or as creatures to be valued as less than women. As long as white supremacy exists, non-white males are the boys and non-white females are the girls, who are dependent upon and subject to racist men and racist women collectively, white supremacist men and women collectively. So very important to understand our position, to understand what we are in the system of racial white supremacy, because it's very hard to be disappointed with your position on planet Earth if you are aware of it, you know. Ms. Williams, I see you have a comment to share.
Yes, I'm really appreciating this chapter on sex because I'm not even through with the whole chapter on sex, but I'm just amazed in how the logic is written in such a form that it makes perfect sense if you're working to become the universal woman and the universal man. I wanted to share 2 points of a question that comes at the bottom of 268. It says, question, what are the best and correct things to say when talking about your sexual activities? Now, before reading this chapter, I would have kind of thought maybe my sexual activities probably was something positive, right? Because that's what I have been taught, that was positivity and that's what people are supposed to do. But after reading the chapter, it makes me understand that when the answer is all of my sexual activities have been a result of the system of racism, white supremacy. I had never really thought about that, beforehand, because I'm thinking this is what everybody do, but then realizing you're following a plan that the racist man and the racist woman has already set forth for you, and you're thinking this is normal when it's not normal at all. And then it goes on and says, none of my activities have resulted in the replacement of the system of white supremacy, racism, with the system of justice, balance between people. When I look back at it, there was nothing in those sexual activities that could do that. But then now I'm learning how to properly have a sexual relationship with somebody that can work to producing justice. That's mind blowing. I mean, seriously, it's absolutely mind blowing because we're not taught about the positivity of doing something positive, even in our sexual life, right? We think about in other areas of our life that, like the guys were talking earlier about cryptocurrency, right? Now that's about pulling your income and having more money to do the things that you need to do, right? But we never look at the area of sex being just that as important as our money, even more so a greater asset when we properly learn to use it. And then it goes on and says, and my morality is and always has been equal to and better than the sexual morality of all the white people who have participated in the system of white supremacy. I've learned what I know about sex, or we've learned what we know about sex from them. The worst people in the world to teach anybody about sex, but this is what we've learned from. And we're practicing this if though we're being correct or fair with each other in a relationship when we're really not. But that's all we know. So to me, having the code gives you a better insight of how to start developing quality relationships, something that will help you to grow as a person and the person you're interacting with grow as a person as well. Yet you're both working on how to replace racism, white supremacy in your thought, speech, and your actions in all areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war. We need to learn all these areas, how to effectively uh, react in each area. Sex is no different. We have taken it very lightly, if though it's something we can just play with or play with the hearts or the minds with people with it, when it's really a weapon for good and a weapon for bad, depending on which way you're using it. And so far, because it's trashy, tacky, terroristic in the way we've dealt with sex, nothing good has come from it. So I look forward to learning more about the section on sex and how to properly have quality relationships with other non white people, because sex is a part of our life, whether we want to believe it is or not. I mean, I remember I worked in preschool for a while, and even in preschool, I think we had like 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. They were trying to interact in sex at that age. So it tells you there's no certain age where a person will be introduced to sex. It should be a certain age, but it's not. And if our children are young and learning this stuff at an early age, the tacky, the trash, and the terroristic form of it, then they're gonna become those type of adults. But we can start working now and to developing the right type of quality relationships by countering racism, white supremacy, and working and producing justice, a balance between people. That's what we need to be working on. So for me, I'm just enjoying it, and I'm just so pleased to see how skillful Mr. Fully took his time to write this in such a understandable way that when you read it, you're not even confused about it. All you can say is, wow, wow, because who would think like this? Who would just think of something like this? But I'll mute now, but I'm just saying, I'm just so pleased with the chapter. And I'm looking forward to the rest of what the chapter will teach me about how to have a quality relationship.
Very well said, Miss Williams. I really also appreciated the sexually morale aspect. Well, one quick comment. Very tragic that you experience preschoolers trying to engage in sexual play with one another. I suspect that behavior comes from what they are experiencing at home, or what they are being exposed to outside of the school. But that's a different conversation. On 279, I really appreciate this.
I think Dan had something to say.
Oh yeah, that's fine. He could comment right after I make this point.
Okay.
So 279, the code states, do not expect any person to be so-called sexually moral at all. At all times, under all conditions. Do not expect any person to be so-called proper in what he or she may do in matters of sex, male with male, female interactions. No, expect any person to sometimes make major errors or surprising or disturbing changes in his or her sexual conduct, and expect him or her to do so in a manner that is neither logical nor easy to explain. I feel like this note is so important because it just allows you to not really I don't want to say judge, but not to I don't know, but it just helps you to, for me, it helps me to just, when I see really incorrect activities like countersexual, anti-sexual behaviors, or Black females, white and Black males engaging in sexual play with white people, so-called having relationships with white people. I just remember this note and say, oh, well, this is what the racist man and racist woman have planned out. So this is what is supposed to be happening and will happen until the system of racism and white supremacy is replaced with a system of justice. So I could spend a lot less head scratching and trying to figure out, like, why is this person with this white person, or why is this person choosing to try to pretend to have sex with their same sex. And now I could just say, oh, this is not logical, and I shouldn't be surprised by this anymore, because white people will show you better than I can tell you. And like, one thing I would never forget, and I should honestly thank the white people for giving me an early example of their nature, because I was like 13, 14 maybe when this white this very, very older white man, probably in his 50s at the time of and this younger white male, probably in his late 20s. But they showed me and my twin brother some bestiality porn, and so they have already conditioned and trained some white women, some black females to have sex with animals. So if I've seen that, if I'm aware that white people are already having sex with animals and enjoying it and practicing that kind of behavior, then I shouldn't be surprised in anything I see in Area 8, because the system of white supremacy, the white people who practice racism and who fail to produce justice, these people are into some really incorrect things. And if I spent my time trying to understand why they're doing this, I would probably not be very successful, nor will I have a lot of time to produce justice, I believe, or attempt to produce justice. Anyone like to comment?
Oh, okay. I'll go. In regards to all the various things that have been said. Um, the thing with sexual morality, I'll start there. In regards to sexual morality, uh, white people, the usual suspects, they introduce a variety of messed up experimental sex concepts to non-white people. It's stuff you wouldn't even think of. I don't even want to go through like it right now, but like the stuff 0526 was just saying, yeah, they introduce you to some messed up stuff, especially white women. And then this is a point from the 1984 edition of the code book. I didn't see this anywhere in the revised expanded edition, but maybe keep an eye out for it after I read it. This is on page 196 of the 1984 edition. This point is addressed specifically to non-white females. It says, don't play up and show off your sexuality in situations, meetings, etc., in which it is important for male persons to keep their thoughts on matters of priority constructive value. In such situations, avoid placing your body, moving your body, or wearing anything on your body in a manner that tends to promote sexual arousal of males who are present. Do not seek to dominate the attention of Black males in a manner that distracts them while they are trying to do something of greater constructive value. If a Black male is trying to do something to eliminate racism and or promote justice, do not harass or berate him for not giving you enough attention. Do not insist that he stop what he is doing and spend that time entertaining you. Reasons, explanations. One of the major reasons for the lack of constructive thought, speech, and or action among many Black males has been the great amount of time and or energy artificially directed or programmed towards sexual activity and or toward those areas of activity that are closely associated with sexually motivated sport and sexually motivated show-offism. Sexual activity should at all times support the production of justice, not hinder or distract from it. I found this to be a really good point, because I think one of the talking points that you will see on social media, allegedly, Black males aren't doing anything to protect Black females from, the system of racism, white supremacy. Well, you got at least 3 Black males on this meeting that are, trying to be on assignment, trying to be constructive and whatnot. And it's just like the usual suspects or white people, they have perverted everything to where you can't escape like Area 8 being in your face all the time. Like for example, if you go on Instagram, you might actually be going on there to do some research or get some news and stuff. You'll be scrolling through and you'll see a video of like police brutality, and then right after that, you'll see some twerking right in your face. Yeah, like Black males that are trying to be on their assignment, like black females shouldn't be getting upset because they're not showing any attention. But that was definitely a good point in the 1984 edition. And he definitely has a whole bunch of points addressed specifically to black males and then black females. And that is all. Oh, wait, one other thing I had too in regards to the non-white females not being called women. There was a recent news report. This happened like a few days ago. I believe it's in Florida. A non-white Latina or Hispanic or so-called Latina or Hispanic, her like 6-year-old daughter or something had to return a computer to the school, and the computer was damaged. And so what happened, the white woman principal grabbed a paddle and beat the child in front of the mother, and the mother, all she did was sit there and watch. Now that is a good example of a attempted mother or attempted parent and not being called a woman, because she couldn't even protect her child from this paddling. All she did was sit there and watch, and that non-white child is going to be traumatized for the rest of their life. And I will post it later on so everyone can see.
Tragic and terroristic. Should be expected. I think we should air out what white people have trained us, forced us to do, and this experimental sex, because pieces of a puzzle, the ISIS papers, we learned a lot, and it's so damaging to a person that many people will have experimental sex with white people, and it will cause them so much trauma, so much so that some of them will even block out the experience. Because I'm reminded of Renita Tate's, her whole reason for writing the book is because she had like a similar experience. She had been with a white man, and the sex had traumatized her so much that she didn't even remember the experience until until Neely Fuller had asked her, "Have you ever had sex with a white man?" So like white people will convince victims of racism to participate in golden showers, to participate in I don't know what it's called when you are defecated on, but that is also something common. And I suspect they do it to shame, to make the victims feel embarrassed, and to also keep how they're practicing racism a secret, because you're not gonna find a lot of victims of racism who are gonna confess to being shat on or pissed on by a white person. It's just not gonna happen. And this is one of the ways that the system is maintained in practice. It's in the bedroom, and that is really, really terroristic, and it's something that victims of racism should know. The ISIS papers talks about the degrading sex that white people engage in, especially the golden shower. I don't know how common that is, but common enough for us to know about it. We should know about it. We should tell victims about it. You don't want to be a white people. Next thing you know, you may be being asked to get pissed on, or you may be asked to piss on them, because I suspect they request that sort of thing because they have the proof is there. You don't have any thing to add?
Yeah. So on 279, I just wanted to make a note at the bottom where it says, be aware of everyone's sexual weaknesses, strengths, and peculiarities, including your own. Be cautious in your judgments and conclusions. Be careful in what you say or do that may add confusion about or do greater non-constructive harm to those involved in one or more questionable sexual situations, especially during the existence of white supremacy racism. And then on the notes, he said sex and thoughts, speech, and actions associated with sexual intercourse and or sexual play, an extremely powerful motivating force that has a great effect on everything that people do or not do in every area of activity. I just wanted to make note of that. I thought it was very interesting that he also, it's usually thought, speech, action, but he included sex. So, kind of giving context to the power that sex has as a motivating force. And I think it was mentioned a little bit earlier on, but I wanted to comment on it as well. But as far as kind of making judgment on people, especially non-white people, like over on 278, where it says, when non-white people willfully, deliberately, and mutually engage in sexual intercourse and or sexual play with each other, what people are qualified to criticize, pass judgment on, and or poke fun at them? No person is qualified. And then he goes on to say, and then the next question, why? And he gives the answer. But this kind of put like into context because I find myself, I guess, criticizing some of the things that Black people participate in, but I think I do that a lot of times without putting the focus back on the white supremacists, on the racists who have conditioned and trained Black people to act like that. One thing that I'm definitely noticing is that for Black people, non-white people, it is so much easier to point the finger at one another, to start, getting on each other's heads, start criticizing one another, than putting the focus back on the racist. There's this like common narrative that that I almost heard it too many times yesterday. I was watching Dr. Umar Jesse Lee Peterson. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he was saying racism doesn't exist. That's what Jesse Lee Peterson was saying, at least. And then another guy was also like trying to absolve like the racist white supremacy power structure, the system in place that has gotten Black people to act the way that they do in their interactions with each other. Not taking into consideration. I mean, when we talk about the Black male, Black female problem, it's often talked about how there aren't any fathers in the home. There aren't Black women are, off the handle, acting all masculine, in quotation marks. Black men are all acting feminine, and they will go on and talk about so many things, but none of them want to acknowledge that there's a system. The system of racism has conditioned Black people, train them to behave and act like that towards one another. So how can you have a constructive relationship, a constructive arrangement with one another? There's another part. Oh, and then on page 280, and then where he says, does every person in the known universe have a serious sex problem? Answer, yes. Every person in the known universe is at all times either engaging in sexual intercourse and or sexual play, or he or she is directly or indirectly reacting to those who are so engaged. Either way, all such actions and reactions produce problems. Explanation. I thought that this whole part's important. Sorry if I got to read it all, but explanation. Everything associated with sexual intercourse, sexual play, and or reactions to sexual intercourse and or sexual play, and everything associated with homosex or lesbian sex produces serious problems in one form or another. All of these problems collectively help to make the problem of replacing the system of white supremacy with the system of justice extremely difficult. The system of white supremacy guarantees that no form of sexually related activity will produce correct relations between people as long as white supremacy exists. During the existence of white supremacy, and according to compensatory counter-racist logic, no major problem between the people in the known universe can be solved until the system of white supremacy racism is ended. So when he says sex problem, I'm not only thinking of that in terms of, having sex, like having sexual like having sex, but I'm thinking that in terms of male female. So saying that there is a serious problem, that everyone does have a serious sex problem, I completely agree with that. I mean, we've had, a few discussions regarding sex here in the book club, and, we don't ever get anywhere. Sometimes more confusion than when we started. And I think that, and I think when, because of the system, you know, male, female, whether you're engaging in anti-sexual activities or, you know, correct correct sexual activities, there's always going to be a serious problem because the system of white supremacy has perverted sexual activity, perverted the opposite sex, the complementary sexes in such a way that there is no there that the, you can't possibly have a constructive relationship. So there will always be those problems, whether you're just interacting with one another or you're having sex. And then when he talks about how the reactions to it, you know, I mean, I was mentioning earlier about the kids having sex with each other. You know, another kid like that. There's a certain value that starts being placed on that. So now kids want to start having sex, and then it doesn't. It just creates more problems. You know, that's it for now.
Well said, Mr. Kwaku. Ms. Williams?
Note on the bottom of page 280, question and answer. It says, during the existence of white supremacy, which people engage in sexual intercourse, sexual play, or in sexual interaction of any kind has proven to be correct? The answer, none. Absolutely none. During the existence of white supremacy racism, none. Number one, it says none of the sexual interactions between the people of the known universe has proven effective in helping to replace the system of racism, white supremacy, and the system of justice with the system of justice balance between people. All such interactions are questionable because none has been proven correct. None. White people function sexually in a manner that best help white people to practice white supremacy. Non-white people are forced by white supremacists to function sexually in a manner that best helps non-white people help white people to practice white supremacy. We have to get this, do this sexual thing better. We have to, because what we have done has not worked. It has not. I understand Mr. Fuller's concept is totally different than anyone's solution to solve the so-called race problem. But logically, it makes sense. It literally just makes sense. Question, during the existence of white supremacy, how many white people are the adopted and abused children of the white supremacist, racist man, racist woman collectively? How many? Over the many years and centuries of rape and molestation and all kind of abuse that they've done to non-white women, how many children do you really think he has out there? And these are his children. He's making either directly or indirectly, he's made these children that have been adopted by him because of his doing, and then to be constantly abused. How long are we going to continue to allow that? I mean, enough is enough. When we didn't realize what was going on, I could understand it. But as our eyes are becoming more open to what we're really looking at about what racism and white supremacy is, and then how it works, we can no longer keep turning a blind eye if though we don't really see what's really going on. The abuse has to stop. It says, answer, all of the non-white people of the known universe are the victims. All of the non-white people of the known universe. I didn't say of America, of the known universe. These non-white people have been abused this way. I mean,
Yep, and it says of all ages. So no matter what number age you are still, we are all still abused children. I can't wait to read from 284 in a little while, but we are definitely abused children, and you can see that behavior playing out if you truly observe non-white people, how we react, how emotional we are, how we truly behave like children, just trying to get the next flashy toy, the next big toy to show off to our little associates and whatnot. Thanks for sharing this, William. That was really, really well said. I totally agree. For 281, we get a little indication that we should not be having sex with white people. I'm just gonna read from the code 281. It says, what are the 3 things that you should definitely not do in regards to sexual intercourse? Answer: 1, do not be hypocritical in anything that you say or do in regards to anything that involves religion, sexual intercourse, and your chosen religion. Do not engage in sexual intercourse with a white person as long as white supremacy exists. Do not say or do anything that you believe may help racist man and racist woman to gain greater power over any non-white person in any area of activity, particularly in matters associated with sex. So I think it's great because racist man and racist woman have created a situation where many well, they call it down low, so-called down low brother, which is a countersexual black male who was pretending to be not a countersexual. And recently I had a really incorrect experience with a countersexual Christian black male victim of racism. But the angrier that they got, just the more confusion I was able to pinpoint. And it just shows like the devastating effects of a victim being fed just lies for their entire life. This person thinks they're a Christian, and if you really decode Christianity, that black people, according to Christianity ideology, are black beasts, are heathens, worthy of the sword or slavery. That's what Christianity says about non-white people. And to add on that another layer of confusion with the countersexual behaviors, it was just like, holy hell, this person is so far gone. So talking to people like that just was really like hopeless. And this is why I think the code emphasizes minimizing contact with other victims of racism, because there's definitely layers of confusion. White people have definitely done an awesome job at refining this system, because you have confusion in all nine areas. So we have this countersexual Christian who listens to music that I would call noise, because it just doesn't seem to give any constructive value to this person. And to add insult to injury, this is this victim is countersexual. This victim claims to have been cured from being gay by listening to and I quote, house music. Then at the same time, this victim will bring home young black males, and I suspect he's attempting to groom them in some sort of. But it's just really incorrect insanity that we have been conditioned to. And again, the people who are to blame for that victim's behavior is racist man and racist woman. But it's my duty to understand what's happening so I can avoid that kind of poison. I kind of want to yeah, I'm actually gonna play a clip because area 7 religion and area 8 sex, they just go really hand in hand together. You know, like it's a like a some kind of Molotov concoction of confusion when exposed to Black people. You know, you get you combine religion and sexuality with non-white people, a mix of just really tragic, and it's
They go hand in hand.
yeah, they go hand in hand. I'm
I
gonna play
know
this.
somebody that they can't listen to like certain music, like R&B, because it's over sexualized. So they have to listen to, like, in order to get back in their faith, gospel. So it's like
Yeah, and if you
it doesn't matter. It's kind of like they're not escaping one or the other.
yeah, and a lot of gospel is just like music proclaiming that they love that they love this white Jesus, this white God. And also, I suspect if I am trained my entire life to worship a white Jesus, to worship a white man, to get down on my knees and pray to a white figure, then I could possibly develop sexual feelings for this white imaginary figure. And I could be very incorrect, but I suspect a lot of homosexual, countersexual behavior comes from that kind of conditioning, being conditioned to love a white Christ-like figure. And next thing you know, I am a countersexual because my brain computer has computed that I must be with a male, maybe even a white man, to get this love that I desire from Jesus. But I'm just gonna play this clip really quickly, just to show how area 7 and area 8 just go hand in hand and maintaining, dominating non-white people throughout the universe. This again, see this clip from the Klansman 1974 version, not the new one by Spike Lee. So I'm gonna play it.
And because of them, the way of truth will be reviled. O Lord, give us a sign so we may know what we must do, and grant us the strength to do it. Amen. We stand alone, besieged by God's enemies. Our once Christian nation is being delivered to the godless. We are losing our young people. Look around you. They are not here. They have banished themselves from their righteous company, just as God's altar has been banished from those schools bearing the mark of the black beast, are being forced into the innocent fellowship of our children. As devoted parents and patriots, we must stand up for Jesus. And Ella,
I can smell nigger on her. I can truly smell nigger on her.
get out!
I think I'm going to throw up.
Get out!
Shame. Phil. How can you push yourselves on these good Christian folks after being in that nigger's foul embraces?
Please, will the congregation please be seated?
But she don't belong here.
I think I'm going to faint.
If you have any Christian decency in you, you will leave. I am waiting.
You blame me for what happened. As though I did something filthy.
Go on.
Well, you're the filthy one. You fine Christian people.
Come on, now let's get out of
I
here.
wish I could
Now,
forgive
don't
you
worry
as
about
our
these
Lord
people.
forgave his enemies.
They're just trying
But
to
I
bother you.
won't.
Come on.
I can't. And I never will. I'm ashamed for what I did.
Alrighty, so that racist suspect you saw being forced to leave the church had engaged with a black male, and that was what the white folks, the good Christian white folks, thought of her for doing so. And I'm sure this mentality is still very much alive in America. I mean, my bad, and on the globe, throughout the globe, because that's the programming. It goes that deep. So I hope everyone was able to hear that clip. But yeah, any one of the many reasons why you should not be in bed with white people if you are not white. And I suspect if an affected number of non-white people were really going around letting white people know that we are done having sexual relationships with them until we have a system of justice, I'm sure we could get some momentum going into producing justice, because I don't think white people would like that very much if all non-white people, or enough of them, say, hey, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. We're not going to let you guys experience our bodies while you're still mistreating, killing us, abusing us for fun and for glory and for power. We're just kind of not going to do that anymore. So you could go ahead and kill all of us, or you could produce justice. But we're not going to have sex with you anymore. If you want that, you're going to have to go back to raping us like you guys did during slavery for those 600 years or so. But I think that could get some momentum and producing justice. Just all non-white people saying, hey, we're not going to have sex with you anymore. We're not going to entertain these relationships. We're just going to, not do that. I think that could solve some problems. Comments, questions?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I know someone, well, my child's father, he has a friend that is a virgin, you could say. And he never had, experience of any kind, but he will want his experience to be with a white woman. And as much as I try to explain the gist of a situation of why he shouldn't want a non-white woman, or what will be the point of having a sexual encounter of non-white woman, it's not like I can give him the book because he really can't read. So how do we go about explaining more to him for him to completely understand? Because he's the type of person you have to break everything down to.
Well, I would attempt them to give them some resources that they can start to develop the ability to read. But other than that, just send him like lectures, send him Neely Fuller videos involving the topic of sex. And since he's still a so-called a virgin, you could introduce him to the piece of the code which says we should not be having sex with anyone who is not attempting to produce justice on planet Earth. So maybe that may help that person to find a mate who can become a person who can become a codified person, who can be serious about trying to solve this problem, because we don't need any more slaves being born, or we don't need any more terroristic relationships among non-white people. So that's my answer. Would anyone else like to try to answer Ms. Crease's question?
Just kind of echoing what L5 was saying. I would agree that get, first and foremost, helping that individual to get the resources to be able to read. And there are like a lot of constructive lectures and videos. The cartoons, for instance, are one. The Neely Fuller cartoons on YouTube are a good one. And just, listening to a lot of his talks on YouTube. That would probably be the best route to go, seeing as he needs help immediately, constructive help.
Thank you for the question, Ms. Curry.
Thank you. I just need him to know that, like, now you're kind of, you're basically, not sexual experience. So there's a way you can go about it than going about it the way that everybody else has gone about it. Plus his kind of lingo is the reason why he wants a white woman, because he feel like non-white women are very, how could I put it? They're very, I guess he feel like out there and like overpowering is how he feels. So, yeah.
Oh, I would say in response to Carissa's question, sounds like that black male may be feverish. One thing that comes to mind is I don't know if anyone here has seen the movie Undercover Brother, but there's a scene there's a scene in the movie where they're like a white woman is a black man's kryptonite. And this is like a whole it's like a whole 2-minute scene with Eddie Griffin's character coming into contact with the white woman. It's like it's a silly clip, but yeah, maybe look at that clip. But I lost my train of thought. But give me a minute to come back to it.
Ms. Cruz, did you say your friend is seeking a white woman?
This is my child's father friend. They've been friends since middle school. Yeah, he is seeking. Now he is seeking a white woman. He was, seeking who he felt best fit, because he didn't want to lose it as far as like just to lose it. He wanted to lose it like within a relationship. But now it's more his focus is white women, because I guess supposedly they're more delicate. They're not like, aggressive.
I understand.
Kind of thing.
I understand that mentality. I understand exactly where that confusion is coming from. And you just really should let that associate understand that he's been totally victimized to not only worship white people, but to believe that a white woman will solve any of his problems. And yeah, that is very, very, very tragic. If more comes to mind involving that, I think you could also show him this broadcast, send him this link when it's available, so he could watch it and understand the dangers and how silly it is for non-whites to seek out white people for the purpose of being in bed with them. That is not gonna cause more problems than solutions. I'm certain of that. It may give him a little comfort, but it won't last very long. Ms. Williams, would you like to answer the question?
I knew that still was kind of going around out there, but I kind of thought it had died out somewhat about black males still having this fantasy about white women. And I see it's probably even stronger than ever. But I think a part of this kind of happened through the brainwashing of the television, the media, whatever, constantly putting the white woman up if though she's a God is a queen or something wonderful to be desired. But yet, if this is how Black men are seen, they are quick to assume this is what I need because this is my epitome of success once I've acquired education enough that I make enough money, then my next goal is to have a white woman on my arm. And to me, I think is such a delusion that a lot of Black men really don't grasp. They really don't grasp, like you were saying before, about the danger for himself that he's not even aware of. For some reason, we still have Black men still thinking it's safe to have a white woman as your girlfriend or your wife. Some of them really think time has changed, that it's okay. No, it's not. Still not okay. It's not okay in many ways. One way is not okay because the white man is only going to let you have his lower class of women. You're not going to have the quality women that you think you're getting. He's not giving those up. The one you will have will be trashy, tacky, and terroristic. She will be that. But because she's in that white skin, that male will think, I'm gaining something great. She may even have a great education, but she still is the lower total pole of white women. That's what they give non-white men to have, and they think they've got something. If you get something above that, just say you do, and it's not many that do, and the ones that do get those type of women, they are the ones who are making millions of dollars. They have a nice bankroll that they can support that woman's lifestyle. And usually what she will do is have a couple of children with that non-white man with all of this money. So then when she's ready to leave, he will not see his children anymore because she's going to take them. Then she's going to take the majority of your money because you've given her a certain lifestyle that she's accustomed to and she wants it. So most likely you'll be just about a pauper when she finished with you. But a lot of non-white men have not got this through their head. Then if you just happen to make it past that, then you got the point where you got to deal with racist white men who see you with her and want to kill you because you are with her, even though she may be trashy, tacky, and terroristic. Because you're with her, he's still going to want to kill you. That's why so many men are being lynched. Most of the time, it's not just because they feel like lynching, it's because they're being caught with these white women. And white men still don't like it. They don't care if it is the trashy ones. They just don't like it. So many of them being killed. And the ones that are not being killed, they're still awaiting a time bomb to the time that one white woman decides she wants to seduce you or say you raped her. It's a dangerous game, a very dangerous game. In the book on page 282, it mentions what is the best and correct for white people to engage in sexual intercourse and sexual play with anyone, white or non-white. It asks the question, in our textbook, it says, answer, after white supremacy no longer exists, until then, it is best and correct and sincere white people to practice so-called religious sexual abstinence in order to best help produce energy and focus on ending racism, white supremacy. Now that's what they should do. They ain't going to do that, but that's a suggestion. And it says explanation, during the existence of white supremacy, it is correct for the white person to engage in sexual intercourse and sexual play with anyone for any reason. Instead, it is correct for each white person to do all that he or she can do to replace the system of racism, white supremacy, with the system of just a balance between people, and to do so without deliberate speed. That's what they should be doing. According to the compensatory counter-racist logic, any white person who is not willing to do after mentioned should not regard himself or herself as being a sincere and trying to replace the system of racism, the system of white supremacy with justice. If white people tell you they're serious about replacing racism, white supremacy, they should be willing to do all of those things in sincerity if they really serious. But because most of them are not serious, they will pretend that they are and act as though they're really trying. But this is an excellent way to do it if they would just go ahead and do that. Because we have already decided as non-white people, the majority of us, I ain't saying all of us, but a lot of us had already decided we are no longer going to give you access to our bodies. We're just not. As long as this system exists, we're not going to do that. I'm not going to do it even afterwards, but I just thought I'd say that. But it's time for Black men to wake up and realize what you're really dealing with. That white woman is kryptonite. Kryptonite in the morning for you, at nighttime, noontime, whatever time of day, she's kryptonite. Now, if you decide you want to play with her, it's your life you're putting on the line. And sometimes it may be the life of other non-white people that you're putting in jeopardy by making such a decision. So hopefully non-white men will really begin to understand what they're really doing and stop playing this game of Russian roulette, because that's what it is. You don't know when that bullet is going to go out, but you know a bullet is in the chamber. So either you let her kill you now or you let her kill you later. But you could just put the gun down and walk away from her and you'll be better out. I mean.
Oh, I remember my point now, thanks to Miss Williams. I think that in regards to Black males or white women, I think it is the area of entertainment. Yeah, like almost every movie and TV show that comes out, it's a so-called interracial couple. Just like off the top of my head, I can't think of too many movies just this year alone with Black couples in them. Only one that comes to mind is that film Malcolm and Marie, and even then, the non-white female is non-white with a white parent and a Black male. And the whole movie, they're in conflict. I just remember the first 15 minutes, they were just arguing over mac and cheese. And then, yeah, the area of entertainment. And then also one other news report comes to mind. I don't know if everyone here has heard this news report. Lennon Lacey, he was a Black male. He was like, I think he's a teenager, I think like 14, 15 or 16 years old. And I believe this was in North Carolina. He was in a relationship with a white woman. I think she was about 30, 32 years old. And, he was found pretty much lynched. And, his attempted mother never got justice. And I think that's an example of just not being honest and teaching your children about this system. Because that relationship shouldn't even happen. That's like a whole To Catch a Predator dynamic. You got a 30-year-old woman with a Black male teenager, and they got the ability to do that. They're kryptonite to Black males. So that's definitely a case that should be investigated if you don't know about it, because it happened probably at least it's recent, probably like last 10 years or so. And,
yeah, it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them because they have like these little video skits that they do on like Instagram and stuff. And it's these young little Black teenagers asking other young Black teenagers, like, what do they prefer, a non-white girl or a white girl? And they're like 90% of them were saying white girl because they're easier, they're more calmer, and they don't have attitudes. Like all this, it was just a whole bunch of them saying they would choose a white woman. So it's more as worse as it is for this generation that's already growing. It's this new younger generation that's still carrying that same mentality of, oh, okay, I want a white woman.
Yeah, that is a hustle on TikTok for white women. They just go on there and they say they like Black males. They follower count go up and they start making them checks. So it's a hustle on TikTok for white women. Go look into it if you don't believe me.
Tragic. And the tragic arrangements between black males and white people, between black people and white people, is just so heavily pushed on us. Going up for some reason, my Instagram page, my Explore page is always full of tragic arrangements, interracial pages. And I suspect it's because racist men, racist women are toying with me because they know how I feel about that. But thank you so much, Miss Williams, for your wonderful words. Much better off, like Miss Neely Ford said, much better off for that white woman, that white man, to just kill the black person. Don't sexually sewer them, have all this experimental sex with them, and leave them confused so they could go back and terrorize black people, non-white people. No, how about you just kill them so they could get put out of their misery and we could be spared from the confusion that they have potentially been tainted with. So it's very dangerous. I really love that Russian roulette comparison, Miss Williams, because that's what it is. Very, 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 very dangerous game to be playing. And when you play stupid games like that, you win stupid prizes like death, an early death, an unjust death. And as victims, we should be way over the reality of us being just killed like dogs, like animals, and nothing happening. We should be tired of that reality, and we should not want to associate ourselves with anything that can create that reality. So one of the things that can produce that reality is trying to have sex with white people, trying to be with white people romantically, sexually, whatever. It's just not gonna turn out well for us. And if you're a black female, it's very dangerous. I'm reminded of that football player who beat the hell out of his black female mate. And I'm just gonna bring up some articles. I'm not gonna really go through them. I'm just gonna oh, this is only a picture. This is only okay. Here they are. Let me just bring up this one and bring up this one, and just to add, just to really hammer in how dangerous for whites. I mean, for non-whites to pretend that they can find some kind of love with these white people. Just not possible and ain't gonna happen in the system of racism and white supremacy. You can wait until after the system has been replaced with system of justice if you want to go and find yourself a white person to be with. But this black woman, black female killed by her racist suspect husband. I can't find a picture of him. Let me just. But actually, I know where the picture. Here's a picture. This is this don't even look right, But racism and white supremacy creates these situations where this attractive black female will be with this white man who definitely killed her, and to add insult to injury, he may even be able to get out. Because from my experience, when white people kill black people, they can get out of jail. Another racist suspect. I believe this is I believe is a racist suspect. I could be in error, but another one killed his black female mate. I can't find the so Terrence Trent Voss got into a fight with Shandon Nicole Scott. Then he shot her, killed her. So they have no problem killing us, even if they are in bed with us. So it's very dangerous, really silly to try to engage with white people, try to make them your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband and wife. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, it's not gonna be correct. And if you have an offspring, with white people, oh my, you're really opening up your world for other misery. Like I was in high school dating this white woman, and I didn't even know what racism, white supremacy was. I didn't even know have the language for white supremacy. But something in my brain computer told me that do not get this white woman pregnant because I'm gonna have to kill her and a baby before they're born because I don't want any half white kids. And I'm 18, thinking about potentially killing this white woman and her and my baby because my brain computer knew. It just knew that I'm not supposed to be having procreating with white people. So thank the creator that I never got her pregnant, because even in my confusion, I knew how deadly and how stupid it is to make mixed babies with these with the enemy. With the enemy, it's just not constructive at all. So I really like this. Yeah, I really like this part on on sexism. Actually, I should probably read this because thanks to Racist Man, Racist Woman in the area of entertainment, Black females, non-white females are just treated so incorrect with the noise that people call music and like you're a bitch, you're a hoe, bounce that ass, throw that ass in a circle, all this nonsense we share with each other like it's something to be shared and celebrated. I believe that's one of the reasons why non-white females are treated so poorly, because you have a bunch of people being taught, a bunch of victims being taught by other victims who are rappers and entertainers and whatnot. So 283, I think this is important. If you think that your chosen mate deserves to be belittled, there is no logical reason why your chosen mate should be your chosen mate. Because of the many derogatory, belittling, devastating, and totally harmful things that the racist white man and woman have done and are doing against non-white females through the system of white supremacy, no person, white or non-white, is qualified to make any belittling, derogatory jokes and or otherwise non-constructive remarks about anything that any non-white female does in matters of sex. Whenever you see, hear, or are asked about non-white females being degraded, insulted, trashed, and or depicted in a vulgar, obscene, derogatory manner, blame the white supremacist, racist man, and racist woman collectively. Very, very important. Just because Future and Amigos have made it very commodifiable to call Black females bitches and hoes, the people who support them and sustain their existence is racist men and racist women. They also encourage many victims of racism, white supremacy to do the same.
Yes, I wanted to read the part right before it, but I'll keep it short. Particularly, I liked when he talked about males, particularly. He said, well, I'll skip a little bit, but it said the very worst non-white female has done more for non-white manhood than the very best non-white male has done for non-white womanhood. Non-white males have always allowed and or assisted both white men and white women, particularly white supremacists, in misusing, abusing, and trashing non-white females. At the same time, non-white males have always expected non-white females to help and give comfort to them. It is correct for non-white males to stop doing anything that is belittling or insulting and to stop doing so immediately and forever. So just like the example O5 gave, these rappers who I suspect may be engaging in counter-sexual activities, going around belittling women, trashing women, and I often think about a lot of the I guess this so-called attempts at producing justice that have gone throughout history. Women have always been kind of been heavily involved in that. I feel that women, non-white females, definitely advocate more for justice in some instances than most men tend to do. So I thought this was a very good part, especially with this whole they keep calling it red pill, blue pill, whatever it is, but I feel that kind of movement they target women a lot, and it's almost like they don't examine themselves, like as men, as Black men, examine themselves and say, what can I do better to prevent these scenarios from happening? Instead, all they do is point the finger at the women. So I definitely think that this is something that needed to be said and should be done as soon as possible. If we have any hope of producing justice or even having a quality relationship.
Yeah, the dynamics between Black males and Black females are so atrocious. And I was gonna ask this question a little later, but I just was asking now, how have racist men and racist women turned Black males and Black females against each other? I can start by answering. Oh, please, yeah, go ahead, Kwaku.
Well, off the top, I think that they turned the Black man and the Black female against each other by making it seem like the Black female no longer needs the Black male, that she can get it all on her own, be an independent Black woman. And that's no fault of her own, but they have, economically castrated the Black male in various ways, preventing him from protecting the Black female. And I mean, that's one of the biggest ways that they've effectively turned them against each other, because now the Black female has some resentment towards the Black male, and really it could ultimately come down to her not understanding how racism, what it is and how it works, and neither the Black male being able to articulate or explain, or his lack of understanding for the system of racism and what it is and how it works. Ultimately, that is how the white supremacists have turned the Black male and Black female against each other.
Well said, and definitely agreed. Another way is it has kept the Black females and the Black males as children, right? So we have both the Black male and Black female pretending. The Black male likes to pretend like he's some sort of player and can go out and get multiple females involved with him, and they call that being like a player. The Black male likes to dress up in his jewelry and his fresh kicks, and likes to go out and hunt by acquiring multiple Black females or non-white females to sexually engage with. And then you have the Black female who has been trained to want to pretend to be a white female by going and getting blonde wigs, are going to get any sort of weaves or cosmetic that makes them look other than themselves. And then it has created a dynamic where some Black males will be like, I need my my woman to be my female to be submissive. I need her to be natural. and then you have the black female saying, I need my black male to be able to support me, be able to take care of me, you know. And we live in a system that doesn't allow either of these things. You know, I don't know what a natural black female is, because we're all forced to live in a really, really unnatural circumstances of being dominated by racism and white supremacy. And the black male can rarely take care of himself, let alone a entire family. So it just many lots of confusion. It has also convinced the black males that their male associates are of greater value than their female companion or female associates. And it has done the same, I believe, to black female. It has convinced them that their female associates and female are of greater value than their black male companions. So we have like this gender war happening where like the black females have a ton of reasons that they say that they don't like the black males, and the black males have a ton of reasons that they say why they don't like the black female. And all while this is happening, racist men and racist women are getting away scot-free. Like, I hate, well, I think it's really incorrect. I don't know if I hate it, but I think it's really incorrect to hear people who have so-called studied Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's work, have a so-called studied the code, but still, like I recently discovered this victim of racism named Cynthia G, and it seems like her whole all of her content is trying to get black females to hate black males, like, because she's still using the terminology like that black man and black woman exist. First of all, black men, black women do not exist. And I think that's another way it has turned us against each other, because we think that we are a black man, or we think that black women exist in a system of racism, which is impossible. So you have a bunch of people playing pretend, a bunch of people just so confused that that confusion has turned into them hating their complementary sex, you know, their counterparts. It's really tragic. I could go on forever, but you know, we definitely need to stop pretending that black men and black women exist, and we definitely need to stop fueling the fires that allow black females to blame their situations on black males, and stop the situations where black males are blaming this situation that we're in on black females, because the people who are to blame are the white people who maintain and refine the system of racism and white supremacy. No black male, no black female anywhere is sitting at the white table talking about, all right, this is how we're gonna keep the blacks, the non-whites, subjugated and dominated forever. So we need to understand, we have a lot to understand. And I think we could definitely make huge progress if we just start to blame the right people for this problem that we're all in, which is, again, white people, racist man, racist woman, racist child, collectively. Anyone else like to care to answer the question?
I'm gonna try one. When black females feel like they're in competition with black males to do what they quote unquote say, like act like a male. So the player role, have no feelings, you know, have multiple partners with no strings attached, or hurting other males and, you know, belittling them. That's one I could think of.
Well, one thing I can add in regards to like the points that have already been mentioned, you know, the whole black male, black female relationships, it's dysfunctional. I mean, if you go on YouTube, you can see live streams where it'll be 4 hours long. Well, the longest one I've seen is 12 hours long of just black males and black females arguing about the state of relationships and interactions between the two. But in studying the system, other groups of like non-whites, non-blacks, like so-called Asians, for example, if you go on like some groups where Asian males, well, it's like predominantly Asian males, you'll see the same complaint coming from them in regards to Asian females getting with white men. They make that complaint, and I've even seen like some so-called Asian females have a no Asian male dating policy. They've completely rejected their complimentary half in return for the white man. So some of the other non-white, non-blacks, they kind of have the same area 8 problems as us, but they have been allowed to do better in the other people activities. So that's what I have for right now.
Thank you, sir. Alrighty. So I think this part is also very important. I once thought like I was introduced to this nonsense called intersectionality, and then sexism comes up a lot involving that nonsense. But the most powerful force is racism, white supremacy. Sexism was firstly created by white people. So, so I'm gonna read this bit on sexism from 283, which is very logical, and I think victims should use this logic if they ever met with someone who is trying to say that sexism is the problem we need to solve. Because remember, solving racism, white supremacy will solve most, if not all, of the serious problems on planet Earth. Because we're trying to solve that problem by producing justice, guaranteeing no one is allowed to be mistreated, and those who need constructive help, those receive constructive help. It's very simple. It's not that complicated at all. So the code says, question: what is one of the best and correct ways to explain why racism is stronger than sexism? Answer: sexism is a practice of males mistreating females because they are females, and or females mistreating males because they are males. Racism, white supremacy, is a practice of white people during the existence of white supremacy mistreating non-white people because of their color or factors associated with the color of those people. If sexism were stronger than racism, a white woman would have eliminated white supremacy by refusing to help white men practice white supremacy against non-white females. Notes: many white women pretend that they are not willing partners with those white men who are in the business of white supremacy. They do this in a very deceitful manner. They do this for the purpose of continuing to dominate and confuse both the non-white females and the non-white males. They pretend that they have nothing to do with what white men do. So much logic here. As long as white supremacy exists, know and understand that no matter how much white men and white women may fight each other, or in other ways be in conflict with each other, it is best and correct to believe that the most important attraction that they have for each other is based on the desire to continue the system of white supremacy, racism. Very important. Like the white woman, it's been mentioned amongst this group before that they are the masters of deceit. They're the ones who could go unnoticed, because I cringe when I hear it, but I often have heard like white supremacy, like white male patriarchy white supremacy. I've always heard those things equated to one another, like being the same thing. And then a white woman is just not even on the radar, which is very dangerous, and how we have been so bamboozled in the system by believing only the white men are to blame. But no, it's not. It's a white man, a white woman, and a white baby / toddler, or whatever. Those three entities that perpetuate, maintain, and refine the system. Ms. Williams?
I was thinking on what you were saying on that, but it took me back to the feminist movement when it was starting, and how Gloria Steinem later got what's the Black Panthers woman, Angela Davis, to come alongside of her. And it's amazing when we sit back and think about how some people want to make this kryptonite white woman so innocent, if though she tends to throw the rock at the target and then hits it, but she hides her hand behind her back as though she's not done anything. When I look at the feminine movement and what white women were trying to do, but they needed numbers, so they wanted Black women to come alongside of it. Black women not having enough sense to realize they're not fighting for my cause. They're really fighting for their own cause, but need me to help them. They're not knowing this. So they'll go along with the program, and next thing you know, the feminists are teaching non-white women, you don't need that no good Black man, because he don't keep a job. He can't take care of you. Why don't you allow the government, the incorrect government, to assist you by giving you benefits to help you take care of your children that you've made with this non-white man? But stipulation. Incorrect government says, well, if I'm going to help you, you got to get that Black man out of the house. You got to get him out. That's the condition. The Black woman looking at, okay, I need to feed my children, so what am I going to do? She falls for the trap to say, okay, well, I'm going to get him out, but sometimes he's hiding in the closet when they ain't there, right? But the whole thing is that they want the Black male out of the household, because once that Black male is out of the household, the Black woman, the non-white woman, she's defenseless without a protector, which would have been that Black man there. They want her defenseless, where she has to depend on the incorrect government, which is the racist man and racist woman, and taking care of her needs. So her Black man is no longer there for protection, but not only was he there for protection, he was usually giving her some knowledge about the system, or of maybe trying to counter it, but she didn't have enough sense to realize what he was really doing. But now I'm just saying, for me, any non-white woman attempting to raise a family, and I mean children, right, without a constructive Black man in the midst of that, is only going to lead to chaos and more confusion for that non-white woman and for those children, because they don't have the adequate guidance they're going to need from that Black male. So that is what the system pushes to do, to make sure that Black male is out of that home. And because he's out of the home, he's left wondering, maybe homeless, or maybe going to get on the couch of a friend or someone's house, because he no longer has a place, because he got kicked out of the home where he was living with his mate and children, because the incorrect government say you can no longer be there. You can no longer be there. So they've plotted various ways to make sure this Black male is not present. So when people realize how important it is to have a two-parent home, if you are going to raise children, and if you're going to have quality relationships, that Black male and Black female must be together. They must be. Their minds are, once they have the knowledge that's needed to counter racism, they have the knowledge then to come together and begin to plan from both sides, the feminine and the masculine side, of how better we can do this. Not saying it could be done quickly, but her mind works functionally with his mind, and so does his with hers when they have the right information. For me, I see the code as being that right information that both of them will need. So having that will give the children a better chance at having a more constructive life. I'm not saying they still won't be in the prison system of white supremacy. They're still there, but at least they have adequate equipment, knowledge of information that they need to help better their condition while they're in the prison system, versus that non-white woman being by herself with those children. I think the scenario has to be where that Black male is there. So it comes to the point that how badly does this non-white woman want non-white female want her freedom, her real freedom? How badly do she want it? Does she want to continue to try to do it on her own without the non-white male counterpart, or she thinks she's going to do it on her own? I would suggest that I've always heard two heads is better than one. We're not talking about a two-headed monster, just two heads thinking, speaking, and acting in a manner that produces justice. So I would think that would be the better scenario. So I can see why it's important for the racist white supremacy to continue to dominate, mistreat the Black male, to make sure he has no real contact with the Black female. But we have to realize the plot and the trick that they have done, and realize what we need to do as non-white females to make sure we're connecting or making quality relationship with men of quality. That's why the codified man, to me, is the best qualified, because he has his head on straight. He's able to teach her what else she needs, and she's able to come alongside of him and maybe teach him something maybe he has missed. But they're the balance of each other. But it only works when they're both connected, working, trying to do it together. I mean,
very well said, Ms. Williams. When you were speaking, I also had that thought coming to mind. Two heads is better than one. Yeah, the masculine energy, the feminine energy is very constructive to have in under the same household. Many problems can be solved with the Black male and Black female working together. Racist man, racist woman, they realized this thousands of years ago, and they have destroyed that dynamic very, very successfully. I know I had people in my victim unit, got 9 kids. The baby daddy is nowhere to be found. I grew up in a victim unit and amongst associates, where if you had a father figure, like a father, a victim father in your house, that was all to us, because where I'm from, South Central Los Angeles, very popular concentration camp. We just fathers in the home was just not something we saw. So we would make fun of the kids who had victim fathers in their homes. And that's the insanity that racism and white supremacy produces. And that's the insanity that it will always produce until there's a system of justice established. So on 282, the code says, only talk about your sexual experiences, etc., for the following purposes: 1, medical or health protection; 2, constructive emergency protection for yourself and or for another non-white person; 3, to reveal any sexual experience that involved a white person; 4, constructive remarks in opposition to anti-sexual activities, homo and or lesbian sex that involve a non-white person; 5, to promote honesty between yourself and non-white person with whom you have mutually agreed to have sexual intercourse. So I'm gonna use number 3, to reveal any sexual experience that involved a white person. Because am I becoming less confused? I've realized that sex with white people, there has been something I've noticed in all of my arrangements with white women, from from when I was 18 all the way up until when I was 26. When I was having sex with white women, it was like like they were like bunnies or something. Like we would have sex, and then they would just, right after we have sex, they would want a round 2, a round 3, a round 4, a round 5, and then I suspect it could be because there's some sort of energy that Black people have that white people do not. So one of the ways that they can get this energy is through dominating us and through having sex with us. So I suspect I was being used as some sort of sexual battery from when I was 18. And I met another white woman in college on Tinder, and it was the same dynamic, but she was a little more refined, I suspect, because she had a ton of books on sex and astrology. But when we had sex, it was like the same thing. Round 1, and then like minutes later, round 2 and round 3. And I'm like, is this normal? You know, for women to be this sexually wanting, this sexually invested, and it was just like again, and me being used as some sort of battery to fuel this white woman. And one thing very particular about this racist suspect is that she was very much a white woman who only engaged with white people, I mean with non-white Black males. I knew this about her because she had told me, and but we were never in a like relationship or whatever. We were just seeing each other sexually, but she only had sex with Black males. But I don't suspect she will be having children with Black males or marrying them. So again, Black males are being used as some sort of energy source for white females. And I recall again in college, a different white woman. She during sex or pre-sex, I don't even know what to call it, but she initiated very incorrect, very incorrect sexual activities. Like she had I was gonna be very blunt, you know. She had cocaine, and she prompted to snorting that drug off my my penis, and this is, I guess, what she did for fun, to Black males or for sex, that experimental sex. And I remember meeting another white woman, and I had met her, and I had only met her for, I would say, like about 30 minutes. About 30 minutes I had known her, and within that 30 minutes, her and I are having sex. She's giving me oral sex between meeting her within like literally like 30 minutes at some party. So this is like all the incorrect sewer sex I had been involved in. It should be very telling on how tacky, trashy, and terroristic these white women are, because I wasn't familiar with cocaine, but this white woman introduced me to cocaine. How to get the cocaine, where to get it from, all this stuff. So why we should avoid white women? Why I will certainly avoid white women forever, because it's just not constructive. They do not engage with Black males for correct reasons. It's just we are like seen as creatures that they can have a little fun with, and then they go back to their white mates to refine white supremacy and make it stronger. And yeah, I hope this hope by sharing my encounters and my experiences, I will spare some Black males and Black females from making the same mistakes that I have made, and tolerating being used as some sort of sex slave, some sort of sexual battery for white people. Anyone have anything to share from the text, comments, questions?
Just tragic. Tragedy. Tragic, tacky, and terroristic. I personally have not been in a relationship with a white person, but thank you for sharing. Definitely, I needed that context. I don't know if it's been said, but on top of 282, we briefly mentioned, white people, the white person, what they should do. Well, the question is, when is it best and correct for a white person to engage in sexual intercourse and or sexual play with anyone, white or non-white? And the answer basically being not until white supremacy no longer exists. But I thought that the last part where he says, according to compensatory counter-racist logic, any white person who is not willing to do the aforementioned should not regard himself or herself as being sincere in trying to replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. So I thought I just gave a little bit more context about these white people and really what they're all about. They will do everything except end the system of white supremacy and replace it with a system of justice. And then, going to 285, kind of building on top of that, where he starts to talk specifically about the white female. It says, question, what is the correct thing to say when a white female asks what is the most effective thing that she can do to help end racism, white supremacy, and to prove, in quotation marks, prove to herself and others that she is serious about trying to do so? Answer, say to her, until racism, white supremacy is replaced with justice and correctness. 1, never say anything to a non-white person that is not true. So never lying to a non-white person. That is instantly what for all the white people listening. If you've ever lied to a non-white person, or if you ever plan on lying to a white person, a non-white person, you are, in my book, I don't know if it's in the code, but you are a confirmed white supremacist racist. Okay. 2, never withhold constructive information from a non-white person. Same applies. 3, do not have sexual intercourse or engage in sexual play with any non-white person. I want to, leave the silence because that's an important one. Not only that, I think that one's for the white people, but for the non-white people as well. So we need to stop having sex with white people. Okay, 4, do not engage in lesbian behavior with any non-white person ever. 5, do not produce any offspring by any means or adopt any non-white offspring. I don't want, any of this paternalism. You think you're doing a good thing by taking, these non-white children away from their families and what you would deem these horrible, terrible conditions. They are horrible and terrible, but they exist because racism, white supremacy exists. So eliminate that and you won't have to adopt these children. You can leave them alone. 6, do all that you can to promote the replacement of the system of white supremacy racism with the system of justice, balance between people, and never say or do anything that does not help to do this, including revealing the truth for a constructive purpose. Now that last part's important. You gotta think about that one. Including revealing the truth for a constructive purpose. Never say or do anything that does not help to do this. Okay. I mean, I'm gonna read 7 and I got a question. 7, do not fail, refuse, or neglect to try to get all other white people to follow the aforementioned request suggestions. So 7 gets me thinking about, how Neely Fuller tells non-white people, if there are other non-white people, you should always try and produce justice, recruit, I guess, in a sense. But if non-white people, certain non-white people made it absolutely clear to you that they don't want to, try to produce justice, don't pester them anymore, right? But I believe here he's saying it doesn't matter, pester them. Keep recruiting the white people, trying to get them to produce justice. But I guess the question I had back on 6 is, so what would be an example of that last part? Never say or do anything that does not help to that does not help to promote the replacement of the system of white supremacy with a system of justice, including revealing the truth for a constructive purpose. Nobody has to answer that, but that's just a question for myself. I'm gonna think about that one.
Thank you, Mr. Kwaku. I'm just gonna address the YouTube chat really quickly because I was some questions were raised. And how did I wake up? What made me stop engaging with and sex with white people? Well, to be honest, I've always have tried to be a well-meaning victim in college. When I was engaging with all those white women, I also decided that my life was dedicated to healing and mending the traumas of Black people, and I wanted to do that. But throughout my my journey of trying to understand trauma, I came across the code probably 2 years after being in college and being totally brain trashed in college. I found the ISIS papers. First, I read that book, and then I realized that all the trauma comes from the system of white supremacy. And then that's when I understood that it was not correct to be with white people. But I don't know if I was ever a person who sought out white women. It just kind of happened randomly. Well, it just kind of happened organically, I should say, because I've always have dated everyone. Yeah, that brings to mind another incorrect situation I was in involving white people. So in college, I was seeing this Egyptian female. She was Egyptian, non-white, but she was in a so-called open relationship with a white man, and that white man had given her permission to see me as well. And he was living in a different state, so I never had to interact with him. But it was still very incorrect for this non-white female to be in a relationship with that white man, and then her bringing me into that mess. It really reminds me of destruction of the Black civilization, how white people and some non-white people came together to destroy the black people. That's what that relationship reminds me of. But long story short, I discovered the ISIS papers and then the code, and that's when I decided to make an effort to no longer interact with white people unless they're helping me to solve the race problem, or yeah, that's the only way I interact with white people, is they're trying to help me solve the race problem, which is very, very, very rare. But yeah, I didn't realize my behaviors was incorrect until I got my hands on the code and was able to reflect on the many, many experiences I've had with white people, white women. So I hope that answers all the questions that were brought to the YouTube chat. I'm gonna, I think this part is very, very important and telling of the system of racism. From 284, the code, it's also the answer to my question that I asked earlier, how have racist men and racist women turned black males and black females against each other? I think this is like the codified answer, or one of the codified answers to that. So again, 284, question: is it correct to blame the white supremacists for the destructive ways that non-white males and non-white females interact with each other? Answer: yes. It is racist men and racist women, white supremacists collectively, who through the system of white supremacy systematically produce the general conditions that result in non-white males and non-white females being taught, trained, and or forced into interacting with each other in a tacky, trashy, terroristic way and or destructive manner. The white supremacists work to guarantee that non-white males and females will function in conflict with each other in all areas of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war/counter-war. Racist men and racist women have caused non-white males and non-white females to continue to function as, and this is in quotations, as retarded children. Having done this, racist men and racist women are the master child abusers of the known universe. The retarded and abused children then abuse each other. So I really appreciate that terminology, because I grew up calling other non-white people retarded as a joke. Truth be told, the joke's on me, because I'm actually have been made retarded by the system of racism and white supremacy. And I have been severely abused by the majority of white people I have interacted with in my life. So this is like really important piece of the code. If you're a white person having sex with a non-white person, now you are a child molester, rapist, and you're committing the most violent act a white supremacist can commit against a non-white person. So just for the record, you don't want to be taking advantage of retarded children. It's really incorrect. But racist men and racist women have made a pastime of doing such behaviors, abusing retarded children, which non-white people have been made, unfortunately. You don't have any comments? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have 2 comments or 2 points I'd like to bring from the 1984 edition in regards to everything that's been said. This is on both of these points are in regards to non-white females, page 194 of the 1984 edition. Females, as long as white supremacy exists, do not pretend that you have the same value to white men as white women have. Reason explanation: under white supremacy racism, non-white females cannot compete with white women for the true favor of white men. As long as white supremacy exists, white men cannot give non-white females the same overall consideration given to white women because black and or non-white females cannot produce white offspring as reliably as can white women. And then the other point was females, as long as white supremacy racism exists, do not accuse any non-white male of dominating you. As long as white supremacy exists, do not depend on or expect any non-white person to be able to provide you with food, clothing, shelter, or general protection from aggression or deprivation. And both of these are from the 1984 edition on page 194.
I love that because oh my God, I see that so often. Females blaming their mistreatment, their situation on non-white males who are pathetically powerless to dominate anything, let alone another person, another victim of racism and white supremacy. So very important for us to understand that the enemy, the people to blame for this mess, the people to blame for this, us all having to come here and speak in this way, the white people who every single second of every hour, every day, fail to produce justice, fail to use their awesome power to eliminate the system of white supremacy and produce a system of justice. So yeah, these are the people to blame. It's not Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, or Young Thug. It's racist man, racist woman. Although the names I just mentioned are doing us no favors, and this war that we are all participating in, whether we like to admit it or realize it or not. So one of wait, did we go? Yeah, we went that far. Yeah, I think it's what's it gonna from 288. Do not expect to have harmony in any arrangement that you have with your chosen mate of the opposite complementary sex. Do not expect to have anything better than weak mutual agreements in regards to something some of the time. Expect conflicts. Minimize conflict by minimizing contact with each other, except for planned constructive activities. When arguments start that result from a lack of harmony, temporarily stop talking to each other, get away from the immediate presence of each other. Do not send messages to each other or criticize each other through others. All contacts must be for constructive purposes that produce constructive results. Notes, because of the conflict producing values that non-white males and non-white females are taught, while they are subject to the system of white supremacy racism, non-white males and non-white females make very limited mutual agreements. These mutual agreements, however, do not produce harmony. The system of white supremacy is designed to make sure that non-white males and non-white females will not have harmony in the ways that they interact with each other. Within the system of white supremacy, the more that non-white males and non-white females try to produce harmony with each other, the more they contradict themselves and each other, and the more they have conflict with each other. The conflict takes on many forms. The form of conflict may be noisy or silent. Any attempt to produce harmony between non-white males and non-white females under conditions dominated by white supremacy will only result in greater conflict. So it's really important. Like, it's very possible to have a constructive arrangement with the complementary sex, but let's not confuse that with harmony. Harmony is peace. Just because you have so-called harmony in your bedroom doesn't mean you have a harmony in the system of racism and white supremacy. Yeah, I think we should just work on having constructive relationships and minimizing conflict with our complementary sex as much as possible. because we're already fighting on all fronts when in this race war. So having to come home and or having that race war dominate the bedroom as well, it just cannot be healthy. It's not healthy for Black males and Black females. So we must do our best to minimize conflict with our complementary sex and do our best to help the complementary sex in whatever areas we can. But do not expect this effort to produce harmony until we have produced justice. Yes, Ms. Williams?
That led me right on into what I was going to say on top of page 288, when the question is posed, according to compulsory counter-racic logic, when are the only times during existence of racism, white supremacy, that a non-white male or female should deliberately seek togetherness with non-white people of the opposite contemporary sex, male or with female? And the answer is 5 parts. Number 1, it says, when speaking and acting to do the things that you were told to do by the all power, the creator, the God, the great spirit, Allah, etc. Or when producing, repairing, cleaning, etc., something of constructive value to use for a constructive purpose, or when speaking or acting to put an end to racism, white supremacy, and replacing it with justice, balance between people, or 4, studying, writing, asking questions, or exchanging views with each other about ways and means of ending racism and producing justice in our areas of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And number 5, engaging in sexual intercourse. So there are listed suggestions of times that non-white people can have togetherness, but it has to be in a constructive manner, because for so long we have engaged in sexual relationships where it was nothing constructive. When you started, it wasn't nothing constructive, and when you ended, it wasn't nothing constructive. So we have to change our way of thinking when we are encountering with a mate, that when we do come together, that is of something of constructive value that's going to help us to produce justice. I really like that about the code, about the openness and the honesty that's promoted through the textbook. I mute.
Yeah, truth is a very powerful weapon, especially when the system is maintained through violence, deceit, and falsehoods, lies. So I really appreciate Dr. Francis Coswellstein and Neely Fuller Jr. for just showing us a great example of deep Black self-respect by refusing to lie to ourselves, refusing to tolerate this system. And when I say we of course are tolerating it because we still exist in it, but we're still doing something to counter it. We're still learning how it works and what it is, so we can give this information to other victims, so we could get an effective numbers of non-white people who will have the ability to tell white people, you know what, I'm not having sex with you. We're not talking about anything other than a race problem. Yeah, so if you get enough number of non-white people to practice their own code, then I'm sure we can solve this problem overnight. But it's gonna take us boys and girls, us non-white, male and female, to really be face the truth that we are not Black men, are not Black women. We do not have a so-called Black family to protect. We have victim units, survival units, cell units, and it's not our fault. It's racist man, racist woman's fault. So we shouldn't feel shame or embarrassed we didn't create this system, nor did we choose to come to this planet. Well, maybe we did choose to come to this planet, but you know, nonetheless, the people to blame are white people. I really like the reminder, the consistent reminders of our positions at the code of our positions on this planet from 290. Let me see. Which part I want to read from this? I'll just read these couple of paragraphs. From 290, the code says, racist men and racist women allow non-white males and non-white females to pretend to each other. Keyword, pretend. Right? I'm gonna read over. Racist men and racist women allow non-white males and females to pretend to each other that they are men and women, while only allowing them to function as boys and girls, who are at all times subject to the will, desires, and dictates of the white supremacists. Boys and girls who have been forced to pretend that they are men and women can make mutual agreements with each other, but they cannot function in harmony, balance with each other. Instead of harmony, what does exist between non-white males and non-white females, and between non-white people and white people, is an interaction that is basically tacky, trashy, and or terroristic. The tragic arrangement. Within the system of white supremacy racism, what is non-constructive, unnecessary, and or unpleasant is at all times directly or indirectly dictated by racist men and racist women. A boy cannot function as a man and his interaction with a female person. A female person cannot function as a woman if she is forced to be subject to or forced to interact with a boy and pretend that the boy is a man. Within the system of white supremacy racism, non-white females are forced to be subject to both racist men and racist women, white supremacists collectively. And at the same time, they are forced to interact with non-white males who are functioning as boys, pretending to be men. Non-white males, while functioning as boys, either pretend that they are men in their interaction with non-white or white females, or they become more and more like females in appearance and or in their general behavior, particularly in matters of male-female interaction and in matters involving conflict between white people and non-white people. So, you know, when you're pretending to be anything other than what you are, not that constructive, can definitely lead to the brain computer saying, all right, this being a black male thing isn't, being a black man thing isn't working. I'm gonna go ahead and be a countersexual. I'm gonna just go ahead and do that. Or the same thing for the black female. I can't be a black woman. For some reason, something is preventing me from being the woman I want to be. I'm gonna go ahead and be a lesbian, a countersexual. Or maybe it could be that black males and black females have been mistreated so much by their complementary sex that they choose to practice countersexual activities. Nonetheless, it's incorrect. The people who to blame for this is white people. Yeah, but really tragic. Just reminds me of the ISIS papers of how white people, on how the brain computer has said, you know, I can't be a man, I can't be a woman, but I can't be a baby, I can't be a girl. So the dynamics are really, really, everything that this book is saying can be proven if you just take a second to look around and really observe what we're looking at. We're going to see, I suspect, everything that this book mentions to be a reality, which is why we should really, really be in the business of producing justice, because we should not feel comfortable. We should not be okay with living on a planet dominated by racist men and racist women and racist child who this is not okay. Anyone else have any more notes to share, or should we get into closing comments? Anyone like to get us started in closing comments?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get it started. So far, Area 8 sex has been something very informative. I had a feeling that, going into this, that, the previous conversations that we've had in the book club regarding sex, I knew that going into this, I was hoping I would be, actually leave the discussion having learned something, less confused than when I came in, and that was accomplished. I'm looking forward to completing the rest of the chapter. There is definitely some very needed, necessary information that I wish Black people, non-white people would, gravitate towards and actually use in a constructive manner to repair the relationships that they have with one another, or at least attempt to. I feel there's still a lot of confusion out there about the so-called Black male-female problem. So, and this section so far has done a good job of clearing it up. So, looking forward to the discussion next week. Thank you for the conversation.
Ms. Williams, go ahead.
My close. Conflicts on page 291 on the top, it says conflicts of one form or another cannot be avoided. For anyone to think that living in a system like this, conflict won't be a part of it, is only fooling themselves. But since we already know ahead of time that we're gonna have these conflicts with non-white people in their relationships, as long as racism, white supremacy exist, it is correct to blame the white supremacists for all of the problems that exist between non-white males and non-white females, and most certainly all the conflicts, not some of them, but all of the conflicts in all areas of activity. They're gonna come. But I found something interesting, and we're in the area of sex, and we may talk about this later, but it just came to mind as I was reading this, and I got it from the Word Guide on 294 about polygamy. And it says polygamy, use this word to apply to any act of sexual intercourse or sexual play by one person with two or more persons during the same period of existence. Study the ways others use the word polygamy, monogamy, marriage, cohabitation, multiple marriage, serial marriages, etc. Note, during the existence of white supremacy racism, persons classified as white, who function as white, and who engage in willful, deliberately sex, intercourse, or sexual play with any non-white person are guilty of direct racist white supremacy aggression against all non-white people of the known universe. I'm mute.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. For my closing comments, I'll be brief. We live in a disgustingly incorrect system of racism and white supremacy. Black males, Black females, and white people will never be what they should be while this system is in place. Therefore, it's everyone's duty, I suspect, to help to produce justice, non-white and white people. And yeah, those who failed to attempt this assignment perhaps should not be on this planet. And that's my closing comment.
For my closing comment, I thought there would be maybe a few more participants than normal, considering it's Area 8, everyone's favorite activity, but spectating, which is business as usual underneath the system. We got a few black males participating here that are on their assignment. So yeah, we black females shouldn't be trying to distract us, like I had mentioned in the 1984 edition earlier. So that's all I got for my closing comments.
My closing comment would be that when Black male and Black female decide to stop torturing each other and figuring out and pointing the finger that we each other are the problems, and start to realize that the reason why we don't get along or we have issues or we feel like Black males and Black females are not treating each other the way that we supposed to is through under the system of white supremacy. And once we realize our relationship and how we interact with each other is through the racist men and racist women and how they treat each other, then we'll start to see the problem in a bigger picture as opposed to just seeing it as it's each other's fault.
Thank you.
Let's see. My thoughts are all over the place. For my closing comment, this is a very interesting chapter, to say nonetheless. Just trying to really figure out, well, it's not really much of a mystery anymore. You know, the relationship between non-white people, even so to say, you know, between Black people also, Black males and Black females. The relationship is nothing short of trashy, tacky, and terroristic at this moment in time. It's probably been like that for a while. But yeah, this is definitely something that I am very always interested in. And, you know, it's, I just think really, you know, if the Black male and the Black female aren't serious about the problem, then the relationship more than likely will not be anything very constructive. So I think in modern day right now, I guess the trend is to kind of separate the two and act like racism does not exist, racism, white supremacy does not exist, which is very tragic to see. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that I think we need to do a better job of being more serious and having some sort of accountability and being serious about the problem and the issue. So I'm looking forward to reading the rest of this chapter. And yeah, those are my closing comments.
Thank you everyone for participating and sharing your really Blacknificent knowledge, and thanks for the folks who have been participating over on the YouTube. Hope to see you next week. This is a open air type of arrangement, so please share. Please, if you want to participate, you can email counteringRWS@gmail.com to participate. We need as many non-white people on code and attempting to win this war. No more retarded children. We need to stop that immediately. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to end the live there.